Let's give the floor to Andrew Grigorenko, who is our co-founder as well, and the president of General Petro Grigorenko Foundation and participant of many human rights undertakings since the 60s in Soviet Union.
Concerning Sakharov international hearings, that has usually, except of history, it also has a prehistory. It was several ideas to have some kind of tribunal which would condemn communist regime as strongly as was Nazi regime was condemned after the Second World War. That never materialized really, but idea was flying anywhere in the air, particularly probably in Soviet Union when some liberty appears. Of course, representative of Soviet society, which was critical to the regime, was a tiny one. Quoting Yulia Kim, it was in he wrote the song right after the trial of Dobrovolsky, Lashkova, and Ginsburg, and he had a word that very narrow circle of the oppositioners. It was so easy they were circled in the yard. That was true, but still the voice surprisingly was heard. And it's probably it would not be heard unless certain events were changing Western understanding what is going on behind that Iron Curtain. Misunderstanding still exists. But when I was happened thrown away from the Soviet Union and appeared in the West, first in Germany, I just couldn't believe myself how that misunderstanding or not understanding what is really going on was behind the scene. But that started changing. I just would like to even bring an example. My wife and I were attending German courses in Germany. And at a certain point when we already start understanding, can say something in German, our teacher start asking about nationality of her student. And when it came to me, I said, I'm Ukrainian. She said, there is no such nation as Ukraine. I said, what do you mean? It's one of the founding United Nations organization. And it was funny because the two Canadians were also students. They said, wait a second, Ukrainian make it third minority in Canada. So that's how you can say it. They didn't mention that also Ukrainian Canadian was a governor of Canada for some time also. A few events in the West which probably helped to disperse some kind of fog about the certain things. And one of them that probably was awarding Sakharov Nobel Prize. And also the Archipelago Gulag was published by Solzhenitsyn. It also played the certain role. And all of a sudden it came appeal that was called Moscow appeal. That appeal somehow worked for some circle in the West. It was a strange collection of the people, rightists and leftists. That group, unknown practically to anybody in the West, appealed to the Danish parliament, asking them to give parliament building in Copenhagen as a stage for that hearing. They planned to call it tribunal, but then they decided to go for a milder version, so it was called hearing. But nevertheless, for the hearing, they decided that should be some kind of jury. It was a lot of machination and a lot of political game behind the scene. But nevertheless, that Danish parliament decided to give that stage for the hearing. Actually, it was altogether was conducted 5 hearings, one in Copenhagen in 75, then in Rome in 77, then in Washington, D.C. in 79, then in Lisbon in 83, and last in London in 85. It was planned for the 6th one, which was supposed to take place in Bonn, but it never materialized. Who was actually organizing and making the hearing, collected the list of witnesses. Some people are objecting to certain witnesses. It was inside of the Soviet diaspora as well, some kind of dispute, who is who is what. And some representative of Russian, at least diaspora, decided not to participate in the hearing. I was one of the people who was invited as a witness. I could have speak about a lot of other things, but the general decision was, or mutual decision was, that I would speak about Crimean Tatar problem because I was very familiar. I was actually involved in the Crimean Tatar patriotic movement for a long time already, many years. And I was very close, and especially my closest friend, Mustafa Jamilov, I was a leader of that movement. And other people as well. I also have to say that it was some controversy on the hearing itself. For example, I was attacked by right Ukrainian diaspora because I was speaking Russian on the hearing, not Ukrainian. But believe or not, but there was no Ukrainian translator, so I could have spoken Ukrainian, but who would translate it? Unfortunately, the hearings do not have archive at all. And for the first hearing, the one very detailed, and I think that the most complete following for the hearing was published in the United States in English. And it was published by Ukrainian diaspora publishing house called Smola Skip, which is means torch. They published practically not only these witnesses, they also some other material which was presented at the hearing, which I'm very thankful. By the way, that's publishing house now in Ukraine, in Kyiv. Especially, I was very thankful for Mr. Zenkevich, who was a major motor behind the publishing house. That also was very nice that some prominent figures were present at the hearing, including Ionescu, Wiesenthal, and many other people who presented that's, I would say, liberal part of the Western countries. I guess I will finish on the history of it, but I just need to say something on the future. To continue or to revive Sakharov hearings would be impossible, probably, because first of all, I'm not sure that even funding would be possible for that kind of continuation. And besides that, Sakharov hearings, the first 5 ones, were mostly concentrated on the Soviet bloc. And now the world is more complicated. If Russia trying to revive some communist past, I doubt that it is possible to revive the communist past. But what they're doing more successfully, reviving the Russian imperial past. And war against Ukraine, that's one of the most illustrative act of that new Russian imperialism. For me being American of Ukrainian descent, of course, I'm probably biased because my countrymen now are killed for just being Ukrainian. And my native village occupied now by Russian troops, and actually even the area, my native area, Zaporizhia, are known by Kremlin as Russian. No, we are not Russian and never will be. Zaporizhia is a cradle of Ukrainian democracy and Ukrainian independence. And so it never was Russian and never will be.